did you miss me? I finally have another manga haul for you. Yay! Honestly, the last several months have been such a stressful whirlwind. I did read, but not nearly as much as usual. I also didn't really have the energy to film and edit a manga haul, but recently I tried pushing myself to read a bit more, and I feel like I completely changed my mood. I started off sad and cocooning myself and hiding away, but then I emerged like a happy, semi-functional butterfly. And in these last several weeks, I felt like I fell in love with manga all over again, and I had a lot of fun. So that brings us to today. I'll be sharing the goodies I picked up during my manga shopping trip a few weeks ago, manga I picked up since that trip, and since it's been a while, some notable manga pickups from spring as well. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I bought was this mini bonsai set. I actually bought this as a gift for someone else. I do not have a green thumb at all, but this does look like fun. Maybe I'll pick one up for myself, but probably not. Kinokuniya also has a Haikyuu exhibition, so I picked up two mystery/blind box items. Well, I say that, but I actually accidentally opened this button already. It was wrapped in paper, and while I was cleaning it, I tore the packaging. But here it is, Tsukishima. Lately, I've been really into Shikishi as well, so I picked up one of those too. I love everyone in Haikyuu, so no real preference here. Because I bought some things from the pop-up, I also got a free postcard. Onto the manga. Up first, and also from Kinokuniya, I have volume 23 of Noragami. I really didn't have a reason to pick this up, other than the fact that I can't say no to Noragami things. It's a problem I don't think I will ever fix. The English edition of volume 23 is actually coming out soon, but it was nice to read what's going to happen beforehand. And oh my goodness, every single chapter kills me. I just want everything to be okay again. This arc is maddening. Next, I picked up volumes 5 and 6 of Honey Lemon Soda, which is just consistently such a sweet and touching shoujo manga. I thought I was mostly over my days of high school romance, but I love this manga so much. First of all, the art is so cute. And second, and definitely more important, I love this main character with every fiber of my being. I absolutely love how Ishimori wants to grow and become stronger through her own willpower. She comes across as shy and emotionless, which leads to a lot of people misunderstanding her, but she's so driven to be her best, authentic self, to become more confident, and as a result that shows people that she's so much more than what they incorrectly perceive her as. The love interest too is just so sweet and encouraging and not patronizing or annoying at all. I'm only a few volumes in, but I've enjoyed every bit of it so far. I would absolutely love to read this in English one day, and I hope I can, but for now this is enough. Next, I have Therapy Game Volume 2. Oh my goodness, where do I begin? This volume was absolutely amazing. Therapy Game is absolutely amazing. These guys love each other so much, and my poor heart could not handle how sweet they are. I turned into a pile of mush. Sometimes I like to pretend I'm aloof and indifferent, but truly I'm a big softie for anything remotely sincere and sweet. I had such a good time reading this volume. Is anyone else super loud and annoying when they read? I was gasping dramatically and laughing and making ugly sounds the whole time. It was great. I love how Shizuma and Minato's personalities and dating histories complement each other. I love how the author managed to fit in so much character development and growth and humor and love in just 2 volumes. The explicit scenes were also great, but more so than the sex, the fluff is what had me blushing like a fool. I think I was genuinely surprised by just how much I enjoyed reading this volume and how happy it made me, if that makes sense. I know, being this happy is what took me by surprise. What a concept. It was reading this series that made me remember how happy I am whenever I read manga. If you're in the mood for a short, hot, and sweet BL, definitely check out Therapy Game. The series is actually a spin-off of the author's first manga, Secret XXX, which I'll check out next. There's also a Therapy Game sequel coming out in December, and of course I pre-ordered it. I cannot wait to see what these two cuties get up to next. Up next, I read Volume 4 of BL Metamorphosis. This series continues to be so delightful. Urara and Ichino's friendship is seriously the sweetest thing ever. Reading this manga makes me feel so happy and comforted, but I'm always bummed by how short these volumes are. And there's only 1 volume left. How am I supposed to carry on? Besides this completely wholesome and sincere friendship, one of my favorite things about this manga is the gentle idea of moving out of your comfort zone and trying new things. Urena, the high school character, has always been interested in manga, and in this volume she's actually creating her own, which is just so cool. It's so heartwarming seeing this shy and awkward girl gradually come out of her shell and have fun. She tends to compare herself to others, so I don't think she even realizes just how amazing she actually is. So I'm glad she has people like Ichinoi who support her. It truly is a metamorphosis for these gals. I had the cheesiest grin on my face the entire time while reading this volume. Volume 5 is supposed to come out in September. On one hand, I wish it was already September because I cannot wait to read the next volume, but on the other, I'm happy to wait because this journey can't end too soon. A little side note, and like I touched on in my intro, I bought some of the manga in this haul before my manga shopping trip in June, and this volume was one of them. Back in March, September felt so far away, but it's kind of crazy how it's already July and now September is basically here. I'm not sure why I'm talking about the passage of time, but I'm glad I finally had the motivation to make this haul and talk about the manga I've read. In addition to finding joy in reading manga again, I think I'm finding joy in talking about manga again too. So it's nice to get this all off my chest even if it is months late. Up next, I have volumes 11 through 16 and 25 of Natsume's Book of Friends. I feel like I've talked about this series so many times on my channel, and I probably will continue to do so. Earlier this year, I finished collecting all of the premium editions of the anime. That was my main collecting goal since I'm a huge fan of the adaptation. But one of my other goals this year is to finish collecting the manga as well. For a long time now, I thought the anime was simply perfect. It hit all the right notes for me in terms of acting, music, and the feels, but surprise, surprise, I actually like the manga even more. I feel like I understand the characters better, and the atmosphere is even more beautiful here. Going forward, instead of constantly, and I mean constantly, rewatching the anime, I think I might prefer reading the manga instead. I actually also had volume 25 pre-ordered a while ago because I assumed I would have caught up by now. But obviously I haven't, so hopefully I can pick up the rest of the manga soon. Back to my manga shopping trip, I picked up volume 1 of The Apothecary Diaries. This has been on my radar since last year, and it was highly recommended by so many people. Unless I really trust the recommender, usually when too many people recommend something, it actually has the opposite effect and kind of turns me off for a while. Not because of the series itself, but because I will overhype myself. But I was so curious this time, and I was really happy to find it in store. The protagonist Mao Mao was so cool from the get-go that I actually got chills. Within the first chapter, I was hooked. She's just so clever and observant and funny and cool. I could not put this volume down. Even while reading it, I was thinking, oh my god, I am so glad I bought this. As you can probably guess, I loved this volume. I haven't felt this captivated by a manga in so long, and I actually feel invigorated. The Inner Court's mysteries are so interesting, and Mao Mao's deductive skills are so fascinating. I love how odd and eccentric and curious she is. I also thought it was so cool that within one location there are so many different classes of women, like women with different levels of education, beauty, and essentially different values to this world. I loved learning about each of them. No surprise, but I cannot wait to read more. I am so thankful to everyone who recommended this manga to me, and I definitely will not let hype slow me down again. I also picked up volume 1 of The Fox and the Little Tanuki. No deep reason here, I picked this up because I love animals and the cover was really cute. The concept of a manga with all animal characters really warms me up inside. I'm also really interested in folklore and folk tales, and I love that the manga included information about all of the animals that appeared. This might be weirdly specific, but I love it when characters with opposite personalities are paired up, especially when one of them is so grumpy and jaded, and the other member of the pair is so sweet and cute, and the cute character's sweetness softens the grumpy character. I live for that stuff. Their dynamic is just so wholesome. Time and time again, I'm also so in love with the found family trope as well. I just can't wait for the fox's rough exterior to soften up. Overall, this manga was super cute, and I'll probably pick up the subsequent volumes next time I need an extra dose of cute animals. I truly am trash for all of this, but it's awesome. Continuing with the animal theme, next I have Penguin Gentleman. I love penguins, so of course I wanted to read a manga about penguins too. Doesn't the idea of calling penguins gentlemen sound so cute? From the get-go, this manga felt odd, but my brand of odd, so I was hooked right away. I came here for the laughs, but I learned so much about penguins within the first 5 minutes. Probably more than I ever thought I would. And this is coming from someone who regularly watches nature documentaries every week. I don't know if funny is the right word to describe this manga, but it's definitely amusing and enjoyable. I really liked seeing the penguins switch between their penguin selves and their human forms. It's just so bizarre. Reading this manga kind of felt like reading an encyclopedia, but much cooler because it's manga and it has humor in it. As much as I love animals, I definitely couldn't absorb all of the information in one sitting. It almost felt like too many penguin facts. So if you also want to know more about penguins and where to pick this up, I recommend slowly chipping away at it. Because there's so much information in this manga, I don't know if I'd recommend it to anyone who doesn't like penguins or doesn't really care to learn about animals. There is a lot of information in every chapter and you can't really avoid it. But if you're like me and live for this kind of stuff, I think you'd enjoy it. I thought it was a fun read and definitely a unique premise and style for a manga. Up next, I picked up Volume 1 of I'm the Cat Lord's Manservant. I knew nothing about this manga beforehand other than the fact that the cover is too cute for this world, and the title is hilarious. Something about forced servitude to cats really resonated with me. The funny thing is that the blurb literally states that these cats are shapeshifters, but I had no idea and was so surprised. I thought it'd be cool if these cats were just cats, but the fact that they are bakemono adds a new edge to it because the main character has to deal with their eccentricities in two forms. The main character is trying to repay a debt, but honestly, I'd pledge my life to a house full of cute cats for free. All of the scenes of him blushing while with cats is me when I'm with cats. And once again, my beloved found family trope makes an appearance. While the manga is mostly meant to be lighthearted and fun, I also like the undercurrent of trying to understand different perspectives. Overall, this manga was good. I'd definitely keep reading because I had a good time, but I'm not in a rush to do so. I think if you love cats and want a cute and fun manga, you can try this one out. Up next, I picked up My Summer of You. Even though summer is, without a doubt, my least favorite season, even I can admit that there's something so captivating about stories that take place during the summer. Going to the movies with your best friend, the inherent romanticism of a summer road trip. Yeah, picking this up was a no-brainer. I'm also a big fan of watching movies. Before the pandemic, I went to the theater at least once a week, often more than that. So it felt a little special reading a manga about two characters who love watching movies as much as I do. I also want to go on a movie pilgrimage now and find some iconic filming sites on my own. In terms of the manga itself, I like that the two main characters bonded and got closer over a shared hobby. It just felt so natural. Overall, I also really like the vibes in this manga. It just felt so chill and easy and quiet, much like a lazy summer day. While I was reflecting on this manga, I realized a lot of my favorite things about it were kind of bare minimum. A guy not being grossed out because his friend of the same gender identity likes him, bare minimum. Treating people with basic decency and respect and not judging them, bare minimum. I don't know why I'm so moved by these smallest acts of decency, but I am who I am. And I appreciated that this manga didn't fall into a lot of the tropes that I'm used to seeing, especially in BL. I'm actually still a little shocked by how moved I am by small things. To wrap things up, I enjoyed reading this, and I'll pick up the next volume too. It was simple, sweet, straightforward, not overbearing, and it really fits the atmosphere of summer. I actually read a pretty critical review of this manga a little while ago, so I went into this a little skeptical. But My Summer of You easily exceeded all of my expectations. Next, I have a rather interesting pickup, This Wonderful Season with You. The reason why I say this is interesting is because I actually read this manga twice. While planning this video, I looked over my speaker notes from my first read-through, and I was surprised by how critical and negative I was. I used words like disappointing and boring and super cliche, and normally I'm not a negative person at all, so I thought I'd give this manga another chance just to see what happened. And surprisingly, on my second read, I enjoyed it so much. It was such a sweet and pleasant distraction, especially after the rough couple months I had. Not necessarily related to this manga, but it just got me thinking that every story has its moment when it can be enjoyed, and that the right timing really matters. Sometimes it's not about the technical quality of the story, but rather finding the right story at the right time. And I think for me, my first read of This Wonderful Season with You was definitely the wrong time, because I missed a lot of the good things about it. On my second run through, one thing that really stood out to me was this idea of finding a new world, or finding something that pushes you out of the rut you're in, and how it's really important to try new things and give things a chance, even if they don't sound interesting the first time. I'm genuinely glad I gave this manga another chance. It was sweet and cute, and I think it scratched my itch for a fluffy and uncomplicated BL. My only issue with it was the typesetting. It was just so sloppy at times, and it definitely felt distracting. I'm hoping Tokyopop will do a better job in the future. Next, I picked up Volume 1 of Osan Idol. No surprise to anyone, but I am a huge fan of idols, so of course I wanted to read a manga about a middle-aged man entering the entertainment world. From my experience, Stan Twitter, and I guess fandom culture in general, has a fixation on being young. Even people like me are apparently too old to like idols, so I think that just made me even more excited to follow a character in their 30s. In the beginning, the main character was actually a shut-in because he was bullied for being fat, but he felt a lot of comfort in watching idols on TV and even felt inspired to change his life, which is such a relatable experience not only for me, but for a lot of idol fans. Just a small thing, but I appreciated that. I know it's all fiction, but I really love seeing a genuinely good person trying to improve and take control of their life again. I also love how the manga emphasizes that he was kind and charming and good before he lost the extra weight. I also really loved this passage where a character was reflecting on all of their failures and whether or not it was worth continuing on this journey, because it reminded me of something someone important to me once shared, which is that if you have just one good memory or experience, just one thing you don't regret doing, then all the hardships in between were still worth it. I know, life is oftentimes more complicated than that, but that little bit of advice meant a lot to me at the time. I really did go into this manga expecting something light, and I definitely didn't expect to spend as much time as I did reflecting on my life. This is just a me thing. I promise the manga is actually pretty fun and sweet. Overall, I wouldn't say I was completely wowed, but it was enjoyable. Again, I did not expect to relate to it as much as I did. Not my top priority, but I'll probably continue this manga because I do love idols, and I appreciated the kernels of realness. Next, I have Volume 1 of Play It Cool Guys. I read the premise for this and thought it sounded so funny. I was a bit surprised by the size of this volume, but I actually didn't know that this manga was in full color, which is just so cool and more than makes up for the size. I am obsessed with the printing. The pages feel so nice, it's really light to hold, the paneling is so simple and easy to follow along, I loved all the colors and the tones, it's just great. Of course, the story is the most important factor, but the experience this time was also top-notch. The manga itself is so funny and cringe, but in a very relatable way. I basically either laughed or felt secondhand embarrassment the entire time, sometimes at the same time. I know, I always want the ground to swallow me up, or I want to fade into the ether when I do embarrassing things, but it's super cute seeing other people do embarrassing things and try to play off that awkwardness. These characters are just so dorky, and I had such a good time following their daily lives. While I do love that each chapter was bite-sized, I also wish the manga was longer. I read it all in one sitting, but I wish I broke it up so I could have enjoyed it longer. Regardless, I'm definitely picking up more as soon as I can. For my grand finale, I am so excited to talk about Boys Run the Riot. When Kodansha announced this manga, I was slack-jawed. It just sounded so perfect for me and it matched a lot of my interests. LGBT+ characters, fashion, and youth. The fact that the author is a trans man made it feel all the more important. So needless to say, I was hyped. I pre-ordered it right away and I devoured it immediately. The manga is just so important. I absolutely love fashion, and I also believe that clothing is such a crucial mode of expression and a way to feel free. In my spare time, I love cutting up and revamping my clothes or drawing on my clothes and making them more me. So to read a manga that also echoes similar ideas felt so validating. I genuinely felt so excited just from seeing these characters shopping for clothes. So imagine how blown away I was when the main characters decided to start their own brand. I'm speaking from the perspective of a cis woman, so it was also a learning moment, or a moment just to connect the dots to see how important clothing was to the trans main character. For Ryo, not wearing a skirt to school and dressing how he wants to is also a way to affirm who he is. I really wish I had a vocabulary right now, but I don't. I just need more words to express how much I enjoyed this volume. Other things I loved were the character Jin's energy and enthusiasm and his willingness to learn. I also loved the importance the manga places on a support system made up of people who understand and respect you. I also love the character's mission to bite back at the world that constantly brings them down. I'm not sure how many ways I can call this manga great, but I'm sure I'll do it again. I also loved reading the interview with the creator and the editor's note as well. They were fascinating and informative, and it's so apparent that this manga means a lot to a lot of people. If any of the stuff I mentioned sounds exciting, I hope you'll check it out. By the time this video goes up, Volume 2 will have come out, and I'll probably be even more of a mess. And that brings us to the end of this manga haul, yay! Thank you for watching and for letting me talk your ears off. It honestly felt so rejuvenating reading manga these past few weeks, and it means a lot to me to be able to talk about that here. Talking about manga helps me process my feelings and connect to what I'm reading. It's just really nice. Like I touched on earlier, I didn't really have the motivation to make a manga haul until now. For months, I almost felt bad for not making haul videos, and then recently I felt bad for not coming back with a huge haul. I know now that none of that matters at all, and that's really not that deep. And I also realized it's such a disservice to myself to worry about unimportant things like that. Instead, I just want to focus on having fun. And so I wanted to say thanks again for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I'm so happy with everything I picked up, and I've been having so much fun reading lately, so I hope this was all worth the wait. As always, I hope you're happy and healthy. Bye for now.